Aldy. Hi, welcome to Fishterviews. How you doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I am having a lovely day. The weather was actually nice here for once, most of the day, so I got to walk to work. It wasn't a million degrees. It was great.
Oh, nice. How far are you from your work? Like, how long of a walk is that?
Like 20 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really not very far. The only problem is going home. It's like straight uphill. So whether or not I will like walk back and forth is very weather dependent.
Yeah,
So, Aldi, since this is your first time on Fish Reviews, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
sure. My name is Aldebarr. I play mostly survival Minecraft on my streams. I do cooking streams once in a while. I've been doing this for, gosh, a little over 3 years. And what else? In my outside Twitch life, I love to play volleyball and pickleball, and I read a lot.
What kind of stuff are you reading?
Currently, I'm reading a mystery series by a guy called Stephen Higgs. But he has two 10-book series, and I'm on the 20th book.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you're deep into the series at this point.
Yeah, I
Without too many
normally,
spoilers, what's it about?
uh,
Sorry.
yeah, no problem. It's about a guy, so it's based in like Britain somewhere. And it's about a guy that got out of the British Army and decided he was going to open an investigative agency, and then like the ad that he put in the paper had a typo and made it a paranormal investigative agency. So now he's stuck like investigating all these paranormal cases, but he doesn't believe in any of the like, you
Okay,
know,
okay,
Sasquatch and Bigfoot and ghost and stuff.
okay.
So it's kind of a fun little take on like a mystery with a twist kind of writing. It's really good. He's a good author.
What's this series called?
Stephen Higgs is the name.
Stephen Higgs is not the author. That's the name of the series.
That's the author. Oh, the name of the series, the Blue Moon
Okay.
something, Blue Moon Agency, something like that.
It sounds very Dresden Files, but like a little less high fantasy, if you've read the
Yep,
Dresden Files,
I have read the Dresden Files. Loved them. I
right?
normally read fantasy and science fiction. Like that's
Okay.
my kind of my go-to genre. So I've got extra free time on my hands these days. I read a 10-book series. So this is now my 30th book that I'm on from this author in the last whatever month
Okay.
or so. Um, and I read the first 10 were like a fantasy series. And I read them and they were well done, enjoyable. And I'm like, all right, I mean, I'll read something else by him. And the next recommendation I saw was for these mystery books. So I did.
No, they sound awesome. As you've now probably figured out, am a huge Dresden Files fan. My partner and I both are. So I'm definitely gonna have to yoink this series from you and and read it and see if he'll like it, because then I have an excellent gift idea. And also, they sound like good books. I'm a big fan of like fantasy mystery or like kind of paranormal mystery or like something that sort of has like a crossover like that. I don't normally
Yep.
read like a plain mystery book. That's not quite my jam, but anything fantasy kind of coded is like right up my alley.
When I was like a little kid, yes, folks, I used to be young. We all were one day. When I was like a little kid, Sherlock Holmes,
Hmm.
my granddad had like the collected works of Sherlock Holmes on his bookshelf, and so I got into like mysteries at a very young age. But like you, I mostly read fantasy,
Hmm.
but mystery feels kind of cozy sometimes.
That's fair. That's fair. I think everyone's got that like one genre of books that is their like that's my comfort books. You know what I
Yep.
mean? If you're a reader, that is like you just can't
And
help it. You keep going back to it.
you do. And I would say Sherlock Holmes is probably my favorite fictional character, like,
Hmm.
period.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, out of curiosity, then, do you have any complaints or like gripes about modern interpretations of Sherlock Holmes?
No. Matter of fact, one of my favorite shows was Elementary.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
like I don't know. I mean, I'm not a purist in that way. I don't mind adaptations and reboots and remakes. Those kind of things. Like I know a lot of people don't like them. I'm not one of those people. Like the Star Trek reboot, with where they reset the universe. Like I enjoyed it.
Hmm.
I don't know. I guess I'm easy to please some ways.
If you like it, you like it, and that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
I do kind of agree that there's like some people who are like, oh, this isn't perfectly true to the source material, and then there are people who are like, they made another show I like, yay, like.
Yeah. Yep.
So seems like you're the second one.
Definitely the second one for me. Well, as long
That's
as it's
fair.
well done, I don't care. Plus,
Hmm.
like with Elementary, um, Lucy Liu, she's so cute.
I have not watched Elementary, so I don't have like a good reference for this
So
show.
it's like a Sherlock Holmes adaptation, but it's like in modern day New York.
Okay.
Um,
Like a
but
crime
yeah,
drama kind of, or
yeah, and he is definitely Sherlock, and Lucy Liu is Watson.
oh, cool.
Um, like I think I can say that without any kind of spoilers, but yeah, and then
Okay.
they solve mysteries in true kind of Sherlockian fashion. It's really good.
Oh, that sounds fun. I might have to watch this.
Yep.
I'm terrible about watching actual TV, but like then people recommend stuff to me and I'm like, oh, I want to watch that. Like, so I need to make more of an effort to like actually watch the things that people recommend to me.
I think
It's a
there's
terrible bad habit.
6 or 7 seasons in it,
Oh,
so
so not too many.
no,
Okay.
enough that if you wanted to binge, you're it's not over before you know it.
Mm-hmm.
But not so many that like you're trapped for 3 months.
Yeah, it's not like someone like recommending you watch Supernatural for the first time and like 27
Right.
seasons later they're still fighting the same guy. Like
Yes. Yep.
Supernatural fans, please don't come at me. I like the series, just it got a little crazy. Like
Yeah. I watched probably the first, I don't know, 7 or 8 of
yeah.
them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was caught up to live TV. And so I stopped. And I don't think I never picked it back up. Not for
Yeah.
any other reason than like I just found other things to watch. And now I would have to watch, yeah, I'd have to dedicate 4 months of my life to it.
That's fair. It's really
Jensen
hard, I feel like, to
Ackles,
yeah,
sorry, I
Jensen
cut you
Ackles.
off.
No,
Jensen
we're
Ackles
cutting each other off.
is probably the prettiest man in the world, though.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
That's valid. He's definitely up there.
He was in Supernatural. No, Smallville. Sorry. Obviously, he was in Supernatural. He
Yeah.
was in Smallville, which is where I first saw him. I was a big Smallville fan because, Superman.
Hmm.
But
I'm
I
trying to
digress. What do you wait? Hang on. I have a follow up question for you. Am
yeah.
I allowed to ask you questions?
If you would like to. It has happened a couple of times where people have asked me questions.
What are
So,
you reading right now?
what am I reading right now?
Yeah.
Um, Kindle garbage that I cannot talk about on my family friendly-ish
Okay.
podcast.
All right. Fair enough.
But I'm also in terms of books that are like good books. Um, I am a massive Terry Pratchett fan. And
Okay.
his Discworld series is like one of my favorite series of books. And my partner for our anniversary got me the entirety of the Discworld collection as ebooks, which was
Ooh,
awesome.
nice.
So I'm slowly but surely reading through the entirety of the Discworld series, which is a lot of books and is also a bit confusing because the timeline is like not linear. It's one of those
Yeah,
like it's
they're
like
little.
a tree, it's all over.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm slowly but surely reading through all of those. The last one I read was The Hogfather, which is one of my favorites. Um,
Yes.
excellent, excellent series of books. So technically reading those, I have to decide which one I want to read next. I'm really tempted to reread Monstrous Regiment because it's such an excellent book, and I feel like I could read that one 4 times and I would be happy. But also, like, I should just read the next ones. I have a bad
Fair.
habit of rereading the same book over and over because I really like it. Like, I think I've read the Akatar series probably 11 times, which is not reasonable, but I have done that. So,
So my second favorite series of all time was the Wheel of Time series.
really.
Yes, and there was ended up being 15 of them. When I first read it, there was 3 of them. So when the fourth one came out, I reread 1 through 3, and then read 4, and then the fifth one I reread 1 through 4, and I did that every single time because there were a year or two in between.
Hmm.
So like I have read that entire series. Well, I've read book 1 like as someone with better math than me can tell you how many times. But I've also gone back since and reread that entire series 2 or 3 more times. I'm a
Oh,
rereader for sure.
yeah. I feel like it's just it's so nice because you already know what's gonna happen. It's like watching your comfort show or whatever else. It's just you know what's gonna happen, you love the characters, and you want to kind of like go through that experience again. Like if I could
Yep.
like wipe certain series from my mind and reread them for the first time, I would 100%. Like I just feel like it would be so fun to be able to be like delete, reread this book for the first time again, go crazy. But alas,
Oh, yep. Gosh. Okay. I'm gonna
you
we'll
okay?
end up talking about nothing but books the entire time if
I
you let
know.
me.
I was just
So
thinking like I'm gonna ask another. I was gonna like about to ask another book question, but like we're also here to talk about you and Minecraft. Um,
yeah,
so we should do that.
a little bit.
A little
Okay.
bit, just a little bit, and then we'll go back to books. It'll be fine.
I'm
So,
fine with that.
first thing I want to point out, which is really funny that we're 12 minutes into a fish review and I haven't mentioned it yet, is curious viewers may note that we are not at the normal fish review set. We are in a different place. So, Aldi, can you tell us a little bit about where we are right now?
We are on a limited time SMP called the Starlight Worlds, where everyone on here is raising money for the Starlight Children's Organization. And we like did a little gatekeeping behind some charity raising. So before we could ever use like punch wood or use a crafting table, we had to raise a collective $50. I think I don't remember all of them. Before we could use any iron tools, we had to get to $250. Um, Before we
Mm-hmm.
could use diamond, we had to get to 1,000. We are currently using diamonds and hoping to get to netherite soon, which I believe is 1,400.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so raising some money for this awesome organization called Starlight, who does some amazing things. Like I'm gonna go on a little tangent and just talk about Starlight
Tangent
for a
away.
minute. Because I have been, this will be my third September streaming for Starlight. Um, as well as a couple of the springs, but they are just a fantastic organization. So they do things like providing fun hospital gowns for kids to wear instead of the boring, like lame
Mm-hmm.
hospital ones. Handheld gaming units, full station gaming units. Basically, what they're trying to do is make life better for kids that are stuck in hospitals, either for long term care or continuous care.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot say enough about how great they are to work with and how amazing of charity it is. So, check out your favorite streamer raising money for Starlight this month.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have some spare change laying around, like make a little donation. If you don't, go watch their stream and just hang out, and maybe someone else will notice, like, hey, who's this person that's got more views and is higher up on my channel with charity in their stream? And maybe they'll come by and donate. So everything matters.
Absolutely. Starlight is an amazing organization. I'm so excited to be participating this month, raising money with them. And there will be a link to Starlight and our Starlight campaign in the video. So if you are able to donate, we would really appreciate it. Again, it's all 100% going to charity and for the kids. So please consider donating.
Is this your first time with Starlight?
This is my first time with Starlight. It's not my first charity stream. I've done one before this, but it is my first time working with Starlight. And so far, it's been really, really awesome.
I mean, we're lucky too. We have a the representative Devin, aka the hot dish from
Hmm.
Starlight, is right now. If she's listening to this, she knows exactly what's getting ready to come out of my mouth. is one of the main reasons that I stream. Period. At all. Is Devin, the hot dish. Several years ago when I first found Twitch and I was watching, I was like, yeah, this is really cool. And I was totally happy just being a viewer. And then I saw Dish doing charity streams. I was like, wait a minute. I could do that part of things. Like, I like making the world better.
Hmm.
And like giving back is something it's always been very important to me. And that is what actually influenced me to pull the trigger and start streaming instead of just playing Minecraft and watching other people stream.
I think that's really awesome that you went into streaming with the intention of doing charitable work. Like, that's
Yep.
so cool. So, how many charity streams have you done?
Jeez. Um, okay, I'm gonna have to actually like think about that.
Math.
So
Oh
I know
no.
that I know that I've done this is my fifth one for Starlight. I've done at least two for St. Jude and one for Stack Up. So what's that, eight? That sounds about right.
That's fantastic.
Um, and hang on, I will give you a number in a second. I actually have to log in. $11,195.84 raised on my channel for charity so far. And
That
yeah,
is
eight is
fantastic.
right. I was right. Eight campaigns.
That is really fantastic. It really goes to show the power of the Twitch Minecraft community and what we're capable of and how many people in this community really care about doing good in the world and participating in things like charity and it's just such a great close-knit community.
It really is. And I'm gonna take one more. Like, if there's people listening thinking like the whole thing about just show up and be an extra viewer, like he's just saying that to be nice. Like honestly, I had someone come into my channel a few campaigns ago that literally said like I just found you because you were on the recommended because you had enough viewers to meet like the criteria I was looking for. I saw you were charity. I popped in. That person that has never been in my stream before or since dropped $800 that day.
That's crazy.
So
Just right off, just out of nowhere.
yeah, I mean
That's
he did it over the
awesome.
course of a couple hours, but
But
yeah,
still,
mhm.
that's amazing.
That was for Starlight also, if I remember correct.
Hmm.
Eh, yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that the charity stream I have done is that even if you aren't able to financially contribute, being there and helping to boost the charity stream is so helpful because of the way the algorithm works. And, our favorite thing, the algorithm.
right.
It ends up directing more traffic towards you and therefore more possibilities to do more charitable work. So, Aldi, you got into streaming because of Dish and charity streams, but how did you get into Minecraft?
Oh, geez. So, Elad Jenkins, who's actually the server admin for this world, and I used to back in the day play World of Warcraft together. Um, and then, we played together for a few years, 5 or 6 years or something. And kind of got tired of it eventually. I did at one point, and was just kind of looking for something else to do. I mean, a guy that I was living with at the time, like, I don't know, I was searching for something on YouTube and I just kept seeing Minecraft, Minecraft, Minecraft. And so I asked my friend Steve, I'm like, Steve, you ever played this Minecraft game? Like, every time I go on YouTube looking for gaming stuff, like, that's always up in my feed. He's like, you never played Minecraft? Like I was saying, I had never eaten rice. I don't know. And I'm like, no, I never have. So he fired it up on his computer and I sat and watched over his shoulder for like half an hour. And I was immediately hooked. I went upstairs to my room, my computer, bought a copy, um, put out a message on my Facebook. I have like back then I had a Facebook for my avatar for Aldebarr with all my World of Warcraft friends on it. I put a message there like, hey, has anyone here ever played Minecraft? Like, I need some other people to play with. And Eli messaged me. He's like, for real? Like, yep, 100%. And so that is little bit of how I got started, and in a very abridged version, um, how the server that I founded and generally run came to be Halcyon Heights.
Fantastic.
Ida and I played together on several servers, just the two of us, for a number of years. When I started streaming on Twitch, I decided I wanted to find cool people to come and play Minecraft with.
That's awesome. Couple of questions. What would you describe your Minecraft style is, and what is it about the game that keeps you coming back to it, as opposed to World of Warcraft, which you kind of got, you've phased away from?
Right. So, style, I would say I'm probably a grindy type of player. And what I mean by that is I like doing the things that take time. Like I like going and mining for iron instead of making an iron farm. I like to go like dig my materials instead of leveling up villagers. Um, so definitely a grindy kind of player. And then I love terraforming. It's probably the thing that I like the most. As a matter of fact, my plans for this world, as you know, are
Hmm.
really I'm gonna do some terraforming. I'm gonna make a couple of lakes in a couple of different spots. One in our charity forest island, and then another one hoping to make a star-shaped one. I don't know how good I am with shapes though.
I think I don't know for sure, but I feel like Plots probably has a tool to make a star out of a square. You
I
know
hope
what I
so.
mean?
Yep, I'm gonna look and see.
If not, I feel like with a piece of graph paper, we can figure this out.
I may be reaching out to you and saying like, "Hey, small, how's that graph paper?"
I'm just over here using like a weirdly shaped Excel spreadsheet, like making a star.
Right?
If it works, it works, right?
Yep.
But no, that's what immediately what I thought of was graph paper is like you draw the star and then you figure out what squares need to be filled in to
And
make it the star shape.
one of the people who's on the server who hasn't logged into it yet is now a Mike.
Hmm.
And whenever I've needed shapes before, so Starlight campaign a few years ago, the first one that we did, um, he made like a game controller shaped island, and he just went and like put that shape together that looked like a giant game controller. So if I need a star shape, I feel like he could do it.
So it sounds to me like one of us is going to make sure you can figure out how to make a star in Minecraft.
Yes.
We will make
Mm.
sure it happens. When you're doing terraforming, what's kind of your approach to making good terraforming? And do you have advice for people who maybe struggle with making the Minecraft terrain look nice?
Sure. I get asked this question a lot.
Hmm.
And so I used to just say like, I don't know, I put blocks until it looks good. I've tried to think about it some more, and like actually come up with better answers for this question. So as far as how I do it, like what do I think? I have a tendency to try to make it look. I go with more realistic terraforming versus fantasy terraforming. So I look at the what I'm trying to make and have it kind of make sense. So like when I did, a lot of people have seen my ocean town, Port Aldy. I looked at if I'm gonna make cliffs that are in an ocean. The ones that I've seen usually have like really dark rock at the bottom. Maybe get a little bit lighter as they go up, and then some dirt and grass on the top. So I kind of try to do my gradient that way, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And then as far as a tip or a trick on making it look nice, look for areas that are too much of one block and figure out how you want to break them up. Like a lot of times, you terraform with dirt or rock. So break it up with the opposite block, or add in some leaves or a tree, or make a flat spot and plant something. So break up the big large blocks of that are all the same.
Gotcha. I think that's good advice for sure. And it's one of my gripes with the Minecraft terrain sometimes is it'll be just all grass, like for so long, or it'll just be stone, and it feels very one-dimensional in that sense.
Yep.
Whereas custom terrain makes you go like, oh, okay, there's a lot going on here, which, in real life, that's the case. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah. It's not very often that you see like they exist, but it's not very often that you see a big hill or something that looks like it's made out of one color rock.
Hmm. Exactly. My other thing, and I also like to do terraforming. My thing about terraforming is you're trying to get rid of the square, if that makes sense. My thing with terraforming is I'm always trying to make things not square or as not square as possible. And occasionally you want things to look blocky if you're trying to make a type of rock formation that does sort of shear along very cubic lines, but most of the time you're trying to make your shapes feel not square by adding curve and things like that, or smoothing it and stuff like that. I've found that's been really helpful with terraforming of like, okay, make this look as unsquare as possible and it'll look way better.
Yep, that's a great shout.
But I will defer to the terraforming king.
Oh, I loved the fantasy terraforming that you did in my redemption on your channel, where
Oh
you made
yeah,
me the alien lands. Oh, I found the Nautilus shell.
let's go.
You made the alien landscape. I thought that turned out really well.
That was one of my favorite terraforming projects so far because it was very different.
Nice.
That's why I really like that redeem as opposed to like a build redeem because it's sorry, we're going really off track right now, viewers, but I have a redeem on my Twitch channel for a very significant amount of channel points where I will make you a large custom biome. And you get to just kind of give me an idea and be like, oh, Aldi wanted an alien like an alien landscape or someone has said
Yep.
like a desert oasis biome. So it's something like that. And it's
Daddy
resulted in some very
Bones.
cool biomes. Yeah, Daddy Bones.
Daddy Bones in his desert oasis biome. He got to redeem like just before me.
I know.
Still feel salty.
This has resulted in a long feud of Aldi being like, he got it before me.
So I just want to give the background on this. So this, I forget how much it was at that time, 100,000 points or
It
something.
was, yeah.
Well, so there was nobody there when Small first made this redeem. No one had that many points in her channel. I was the closest, followed closely by Tapple and Daddy Bones. But so I was there every time, watching, subbed, made sure that I got my bits in every month to get the bonus points, kept my watch streaks going, everything. One time when I was not paying close enough attention, Small Cats did like a Gamba in her channel. Daddy Bones won.
And swiped it. Yeah.
Swipe it. Like I was probably one stream away from like I had 98,000 and something.
Oh,
And all of a sudden it's like, oh yay, Daddy Bones got the first one. I'm like, wait, what? How what? I will say this, it couldn't have gone to a nicer person though. Daddy
very
Bones was
true. Very
awesome.
true.
Hmm.
And it was good because I was still figuring out how that redeem works. So truly, you got an improved product. Is all I'm saying.
That's true. That's true. Sometimes second is best.
Exactly. And if for anyone listening to the Fish Review who may be new, I don't know if you've noticed, but Aldi and I have known each other a very long time. So this is a very casual Fish Review right now.
Right? Yep.
But so back to Minecraft, you run the Halcyon Heights SMP. Do you want to talk about Halcyon Heights a little bit?
Sure. I mean, I don't want to take too much away from what we're doing now, but Halcyon Heights is a SMP that Nawa, Mike, and I founded together. So, again, it was my brainchild when I first started, when I decided that I wanted to stream, heavily influenced by Dish. I also decided that I wanted a community of people that were focused on like being a positive influence, being inclusive, being supportive of other people. Like I didn't really care if you were like if I was looking at you to join my SMP, you in the broad sense, you. I didn't care if you were a good builder or a good terraformer or knew how to do redstone, how big your channel was. I wanted people that were positive, supportive, and inclusive. I wanted people in short that I could know that I could play with all the time, hang out with all the time, and create a good community, not just for me, but for everyone involved. So we knew that we couldn't find well, so immediately, like I had found Mike, stumbled into his channel. We talked, we became affiliate on the same day. Like we were our each other's support when we were, two or three people watching all the time. Um, and we talked about this a lot and decided we had kind of a shared vision for it. So then we started watching all these small channels, just looking for people that would be a good fit because we knew we weren't going to get like, hey, you're a partner and you've got 17,000. You want to come join our brand new SMP? Like, we know how that goes.
Hmm.
So we ended up finding some people, um, getting it done, and yeah, now we have, I think, 18 people currently because we had one leave. Um, and we're in our second season. We call them Chronicles. And it's just been an amazing experience.
That's awesome. How long do you expect Chronicle 2 to last, roughly?
I'm shooting for 3 years. So the
3 years?
first one was 2 years, and it was maybe a little bit rushed at the end. So we started in June. So this was our first major update we just had. Well, we had one a couple weeks after we started, but that was by design. Um, I'd like to get one more full update, and then, um, as we're getting ready to go into the following update, so that'd be 1.23, it might be time to start over. So, yeah, about 3 years.
Managing an SMP like that is basically playing a community management sim. What's your
Yeah.
approach to community management and keeping an SMP like this alive long term?
So, a few things. One, I watched a lot of other SMPs on this platform before I ever started. I paid really close attention to what actually worked and what didn't. And then I drew on some real life experience. Like recently, I've been in the insurance industry.
Hmm.
Before that, I was a restaurant general manager for 25 years, so I kind of had an idea how to lead people and lead a team. Um, and I'm not trying to say that like it succeeded because I led the way. Like not that, just like how to get people to collaborate together and come together and how, like achieve a common goal,
Hmm.
and lay out those steps. So very organized, very methodical. We set it out. We had good rules. We had good communication. In the beginning, we had bi-monthly meetings, so twice a month. We had like meetings for the server. Lots of communication, I think, is the key.
Oh, that's fantastic. How often are your community meetings now?
So, I'm actually have been failing a little bit. So, I went through a period of Minecraft. I don't want to say burnout, but definitely brownout,
Hmm.
at the beginning of this year, where I just didn't really feel like playing Minecraft. Um, and at the same time, our co founder, Mike, was kind of going through the same thing. So, I wasn't streaming very much, I wasn't playing very much. Um, we were kind of in a low period on the server. We've been going for 6 or 7 months at that time. So we kind of let our meetings fall to the wayside a little bit. But in general, we like to have them once a month.
Gotcha. I think that's something that, regarding the kind of burnout, brownout, I think that's something that everyone experiences with whatever they consider to be their most played, like, main game. Because there will be weeks where I'm like, I don't want to even look at Minecraft. I'm gonna go play something else. Because you just can't, if you play something all the time or you do something all the time, eventually your brain's just gonna be like, anything else, please. And
Right.
it's a very, I think, human experience.
Yeah, 100%. Like at first, I tried to just fight through it, which I think was a mistake and just made it even worse.
Hmm.
Honestly, for me, I'm not saying that's for everyone, but for me, I think that took what probably would have been like a 6 week session of brownout and turned it into like a 3 month one. Yeah. But live and learn.
Yeah, absolutely. It's It's my opinion that the best way to approach that is to just have grace with yourself and be like, yeah, you know what? I'm experiencing this. I'm gonna be nice to myself. I'm gonna go do something else and not feel bad about it because you gotta do what's best for you and kind of, protect your own sanity, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think as creators, especially not just people who play a game all the time, but as people who create while playing the game, we 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 do burn out. It's a thing and it happens to all of us. I think we've all been there, and it's just best to try to be as nice to ourselves about it as we can.
Right, exactly. Um, do you have like another game specifically that you play when you're feeling that way?
I do, and it's completely the opposite of Minecraft in every way, which I think is good for me. So I love Dead by Daylight, which
Mm,
you might have heard me talk about before. That is not a game that I create content for really, other than the occasional TikTok if something happens that's really funny. It's a game for me that really is just completely the opposite of Minecraft. It is in no way a sandbox game. It's not really a creative game, unless you count like wearing cute outfits on your character.
hmm.
It's very much a game where you go into a match and you have a set task each time. Now, the person you're playing against and your teammates can be different every time, but you basically know the general gist of what's going to happen. You know you're going to get unhooks, you know you're going to get heals, and you know you're going to have to do gens, and also probably loop. So it feels almost like a game where if I've been sitting around and trying to really be creative and sort of just using all those creative parts of my brain for too long, that I can just go into that game and just turn that part off and just like rote memory, do gens, unhook, and of course you have to kind of think about looping, but it's just a game where it's so the opposite of Minecraft that it really recharges my Minecraft batteries, I feel like,
Very nice.
and it's been great. The other game that, and this is only really recent, and I wouldn't consider it like a game I really play, but I did take a bit of a break from Minecraft to play through Elden Ring recently, and beat Elden Ring, which was really fun and actually gave me a ton of like creative juice for Minecraft because Elden Ring has the most stunning landscapes of a video game ever, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
it's such a pretty game. I've never
it's
played
so
it, but I've
pretty.
watched a lot of people, including you and Dish.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful game.
It's visually so
Ooh,
stunning. There's literally not an
ooh.
area of that game that isn't visually stunning, even the areas that I didn't like because of the mechanics of them, like Caelid. Um, but either way, just so stunning. So many really crazy structures. The scale of it is wild. And it was really funny playing through Elden Ring because the entire time I was like, I want to build that, even though it's ridiculous. I want to build that. I want to build that. I want to build that, even though it's ridiculous. And I'm like walking
Nice.
around like this is way too many massive projects that I could maybe take on like one thing, but it definitely gave me a lot of like it really reinvigorated like Minecraft, if that makes sense.
Didn't didn't sorry, I got lost there for a second. Didn't Pix build something out of Elden Ring?
Yes, kind of. I want to say that in Empire Season 2, um, Empire's fans, please don't come at me if I'm wrong, but I want to say that Empire Season 2, Pix's whole deal was Elden Ring inspired. Like, pretty much
Okay,
everything he was making was inspired by Elden Ring in terms of the block palette and scale and the structures.
very nice.
But there's probably going to be a comment that's like, Small is wrong. It's actually the end of Empire season 1, but only for these 4 episodes. Or it was actually on. But somebody tell me, because I'm not sure. I think it was Empires, though. Because if I remember correctly, Pix started off as an archaeologist in Empires, and then he ended up building that giant castle and a couple other things. I think it was partially Elden Ring inspired.
Very nice. I
But
mean, Ginger would know for sure, but
I'll have to ask her. Aldi, do you have another game that you play outside of Minecraft to kind of recharge your batteries?
Diablo 3,
What is Diablo 3?
it is, I mean, just a kind of a medieval style. So, I mean, like you have your weapons are axes and swords and staffs and stuff. And a medieval style, just hack and slash kind of game. So,
Gotcha.
it is very much kind of like you were saying with Dead by Daylight. It is not a creative game. Like you're
Hmm.
following pre-generated maps, and you're just trying to kill all the stuff and get some loot and get better weapons and armor so that you can kill the bad guys faster, and better so that you can get better weapons and armor so that you can then kill bigger, badder bad guys quicker to get better weapons and armor. Like it's just one of those kind of games, but it is very well done, and it's easily the game I have the second most amount of hours played. Like I probably have, gosh, I know I have at least a couple thousand hours played in Diablo 3.
Just a couple thousand,
Yeah,
casually.
yeah,
It's okay. I think I'm like very close to hitting 1,000 hours in Dead by Daylight, so I'm up there with you of being unreasonable. It's
yep.
fine. What do you do?
I've only done one stream, and it was for a charity redemption a couple campaigns ago. Um, I don't know, like it is. Here's the thing: being a Minecraft streamer is great because almost never do you really have to pay attention to what's going on in the game,
Hmm.
right? Like you can, if you're on a single player, you can just pause. Even if you're on a multiplayer, unless you're like doing the dragon fight or in the deep dark, you really don't need to pay that close of attention to what's going on, and you can just talk to your chat and like stop moving for a minute and talk to chat.
Hmm.
Where in a lot of games, like in Diablo 3, for example, if I just stopped moving for a few minutes, like I'd be dead. Like it's um so like Minecraft's great for that. And I find that I struggled trying to do Diablo 3 on stream because then I had long periods of time where I wasn't able to read chat, and it felt weird to me just because I'm used to it.
Yeah. No, I get that. I have also streamed a couple of other games, and I really it's not that I dislike streaming other games, it's that I don't feel as comfortable because I want to interact with my chat. That's like what I want to do. That's why I'm there. And if I'm fighting a boss in Elden Ring, I am locked in on fighting that boss, and I'm not looking at anything happening on the other screen.
Right.
It is all boss the whole time. So, yeah, it definitely removes a bit of that sort of personal interaction that I think Minecraft is a great game to stream for.
Yep. Now that being said, I want to say like there's tons of very successful streamers that are able to manage that. I'm just like don't have that capacity to manage
Same.
that and enjoy it the same way, I guess. Yeah.
Hmm. No, I understand. So, Aldi, I want to get back a little bit on the Halcyon Heights. What are you currently
hmm
working on Halcyon?
So my plan this year was a fantasy city, and I wanted to go kind of. So Tadpole's also on Halcyon Heights,
Hmm.
although has been a little bit inactive lately. But Tadpole was planning on doing a dark elf city
Hmm.
based on from the books, the Drizzt Do'Urden series. So he was trying to do a dark elf city, his interpretation of Menzoberranzan. So I have an area that's fairly close to his, and I thought I would do more of a light elf kind of city.
Okay.
Using a lot of the whites and the bright colors. Um, and I haven't got very far on it, although I did build this really extensive wall all the way around a valley. Um, that is, I'm actually really happy with how it turned out, but I haven't put anything really inside of it yet.
Gotcha. So if you're able to kind of move forward with it, do you think you're going for a castle or just houses, or do you have any kind of a vision of what it might look like?
So vision is an interesting word because I don't have pictures in my brain,
Right.
but
I forgot
um,
about that. Can you
yep,
explain really quick for people who might not know what we're talking about?
sure. I have what's called aphantasia, and it is like most things. It's a spectrum. I'm on the far end of the spectrum. Aphantasia briefly means that I don't have the ability to visualize at all. So if you say, "Hey, close your eyes and picture whatever you want in your head," I can't do that. Like there is never been and there never will be a picture of any kind in my brain ever. Not while I'm awake, not while I'm asleep. No pictures.
Hmm.
I'm on the far end of the spectrum, which also means that I don't hear other people's voices or other sounds in my head either.
Interesting.
Um, just doesn't happen.
So really so do you hear your own voice inside your head? I mean, you have to, right? Kind of?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. It sounds like it's hard to
Um,
explain, sorry.
no, I don't mind. No, don't apologize because I don't mind talking about it. But it's like um, it's kind of like trying to explain sight to a blind person, only in reverse. Like I've never had pictures or the ability to have images or sounds or anything in my head, so when I'm trying to explain it, I'm like struggling a little just because I only know that what you have
Hmm.
because I've heard about it. So it's hard for me to
Gotcha.
say like, oh, and it compares to this. I really thought like the saying like in your mind's eye was just fancy talk until I didn't discover that I had this until I was in my late 30s, early 40s.
Really?
Yep.
Out of
Because
curiosity,
it
if it's not too
wasn't,
personal, how did you find out?
yeah, it wasn't a recognized thing. Like nobody really knew about it until there was a gentleman that got in an accident and lost the ability.
Oh,
And so then that like opened up this path of exploration for, the big brain people in the world to start researching it and discover that hey, this is a real thing that a small percentage of the population cannot do this.
that's so
And
interesting.
so I had talked before about mostly just with close friends and family about like, I don't people will talk about their dreams and how what they were, and I'm just like, I don't like I've never dreamed anything like what you're talking about because my dreams are feelings, not pictures. So people are like,
Oh,
yeah, well, what do you like when you dream? What do you see? And I'm like, what do you mean? I don't see. You know, I'm
interesting.
like it was like speaking a different language that neither one of us could really understand.
Hmm.
So it turned out my sister has the same condition. She ran across an article because she is a teacher now, but at the time was still in school to be a teacher, and her passion was to work with developmentally disabled or challenged children that
Okay.
had learning disabilities of some kinds. And this was at that time just making itself heard and being on the radar of a potential learning disability was this aphantasia. And
Gotcha.
so she stumbled across it just like, in the very rare section of potential disabilities that you may have to deal with in her class. And immediately was like, hey, this is me, and sent like some of the info to myself, and I was like, yeah, this is me too. So that's how I found out.
Interesting. It's interesting because it's just, I feel like unless someone said, no, I don't see that in my head, I never have, you would never even think that, oh, this isn't, that we're not experiencing the same thing, you
Right.
know?
Yeah. No, like it explained a lot of things like growing up, like for example, to no surprise now, I failed geometry. Well, it's
I
because I
was gonna
can't picture
ask.
shapes. I can't do spatial relations
Mm-hmm.
in my head. Um, so things like geometry, chemistry, um, higher math beyond that, like that involves you being able to figure out how things relate to each other in space. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
But my parents just thought I was not trying in geometry, and that's why I like got a D minus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't you do your homework? And I didn't have the words because I didn't have the knowledge to express that, like, hey, this isn't me. This is like getting mad at a person with that's dyslexic for not being able to spell good,
Yeah.
you know? Like, it's not my fault.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to say before I go any like before I just leave it there are pros and cons to all things, I think. And this, like, yeah, I struggle with spatial relationships. I get lost so easy in real life as well as in like games and stuff. It's just insane. But then the flip side is so when you read Small Cats,
Hmm.
you probably see pictures to some extent. Um, how detailed and how in depth those are depend on where you are on the visualization spectrum. But
Hmm.
you probably see something similar to like a movie or at least images throughout the book as you're reading.
Yeah.
And most people also then hear voices assigned to those characters. Well, since I don't have any of that, that my brain has to process as I'm reading, I probably read, well, I read about 2 or 3 times as fast as like the average reading speed,
Interesting.
just just naturally, not without doing anything special. Like I just read fast.
Yeah, because your brain's not taking the time to like process all this extra information and create extra imagery and sound.
Right.
Hmm, that's so
That's
interesting.
why I've read, 29 books by Stephen Higgs in the last like 5 weeks
Hmm.
because it takes me about probably 30%, 40% as long as it would take most people.
Wow. It's interesting because like the I think we talked about this in the past at one point, and I was like, I did not even know that was the thing, because I'm on the complete opposite of this spectrum. I can picture a shape in my head and rotate it, unfold it, refold it, like it's all there. Like for example, I had to take an engineering drafting course recently as just a refresher. And
Mm-hmm.
part of this engineering drafting course was they would show you a isometric view of a shape, and then they would show that shape in 2D from other like angles, and you'd have to label the faces and edges and identify, you know, where they lined up from different
Right.
sides. And
Yep.
that was like, oh yeah, da, 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 da. But that sounds a bit like your nightmare. Like,
Yeah, I absolutely could not do that. I
yeah,
couldn't do that any more than a colorblind person could arrange like the colors of the in a spectrum.
yeah. It makes me
Yeah.
wonder how many people have had this and have struggled, and, like you talked about in geometry or in school or in life, and just had no idea that this simply just wasn't something they can do. They weren't doing anything wrong.
Yep. I talked about this a little bit on my stream today. Not like aphantasia, I didn't go into it in detail, but I used to get very frustrated and with just life in general when I would go somewhere and I would get lost. Um, Driving or not driving didn't matter. I would be trying to go somewhere and get turned around. And once I'm turned around, I don't have the ability to orientate myself and get like, okay, I was coming from that direction, and if I go this way, I'll get back. Like I cannot do that. Man, I used to get so mad at myself. I have vivid memories of being like driving somewhere new and just like getting frustrated to the point where like my day would be ruined because I got lost somewhere. And then once I realized after I found this out that that was just one of those things that happens because of the way my brain works, like I was able to be like, okay, this is not because I'm a big fat dummy. It's because like my brain doesn't work that way. And
Hmm.
that's okay,
And
you
that's
know?
okay.
Yep.
That's the fun. I don't know if fun is the right word, but that's the thing about brains is they're all really different and weird in their own way and unique, and we all just have a different one, and sometimes it's okay. We
Mm-hmm.
all struggle with something, and yours might be getting lost. Not to like trivialize, but
Yep.
genuinely issues with orienting yourself. I can't talk, and spatial stuff, and others struggle with other things. So,
Yep.
but no, that's so interesting. It's it's just interesting to think that people, for lack of a better term, view the world in a completely different way than you might, you know?
Yeah. No, it was like mind blowing trying to wrap my head around it when I first was reading these studies and stuff that my sister had sent me. I was just like, wait, like, are you saying people actually can do this? Like, to me, the rest of you are wizards. Like, the fact that you can imagine, like, in Minecraft, let's just talk about this game. The fact that you can imagine something and picture it before you start placing a block blows my mind.
Hmm.
Like, how could you do that? I couldn't do that.
Yeah, so do
That's why I have
you,
to build it and tear it down.
yeah, I was gonna ask, so does, because I've seen you build. Your style is you kind of place some blocks, you go away from it, you look at it, you change it, you go back. So is that sort of the reason for that is because you can't visualize what you want the wall to look like in your mind's eye. You have to place the blocks and then look at it and see, does this look how I think I want it to, and then change it.
100%.
Interesting.
Yep.
Oh.
I think it also is why, we were talking about terraforming a little bit, and I
Hmm.
said that I tend to be more kind of true to nature terraforming is because I've seen that, and although I can't picture it, I can remember it. And we could have a whole discussion about the difference between those two things. But I can remember seeing ocean cliffs and the fact that they are, have dark rock at the bottom that gets a little bit lighter as it goes up, and then maybe has some dirt mixed in. So I can't picture that, but I can remember it. But I can't remember a fantasy landscape because I've never seen one.
Hmm.
And since I've never pictured one either by anything that I've read or whatever, I can't just make one up. It's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it. Well, Aldi, we are at an hour, if you can
Okay.
believe it. We've been chatting for some time. Um, Thank you so much for joining me today for a fish review. I hope you had a blast.
I had an absolute blast. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Before we head out, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you out on the internet?
Yeah. So I am Aldebarr, Aldebarr, Aldebarr. Pretty much everywhere. So on the X or the Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Um, on Twitch, and then I am Aldebarr MC on YouTube because just Aldebarr was already taken up. Where I don't have a lot of made for YouTube content, but I do have a decent amount of my VODs from my single player world are there.
Okay, awesome.
Um, what else? There is a podcast that my co-founder with Halcyon Heights and my co-host on the podcast. Now, Mike and I did a podcast for a year called "A View from the Heights." We were talking one of our saddest things about that was that we didn't get you on there. We almost tried to extend it a little bit longer, but the timing was just
Hmm.
too perfect at the anniversary. Like you were next on the list of people that we were going to ask to be a
Oh
guest,
no.
but
So
um,
close.
yep. So it's still out there. View from the Heights podcast.
Yep, I'll put a link
Mm,
to that on probably the Apple Podcasts in the description. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was absolutely a blast. I appreciate it so much, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.
you too, and have a great stream.
Thanks. Okay, bye.